Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DrewTube. I've been looking around on YouTube, just browsing around like everybody does, and I've seen multiple videos of people and their cleanest setups and their messiest setups and their student setups and their video editing setups, and that's great. But I have the best setup, so I'm gonna show you what that looks like through the course of this video. I'm also going to mention that I am a student, so this setup is not a video editing setup, it's not a gaming setup, so don't go looking around for, my graphics card and my giant computer tower with 65,000 gigabytes of RAM and 4 terabyte hard drive stacked to the ceiling. I have a Ultrabook, okay? And this is what you can do with an Ultrabook. Granted, you have the right I/O. On both 3 helps. While it isn't mandatory for this setup, it certainly made it a lot more functional instead of having to use DisplayPort 1.2 wires, several of them everywhere. So we're going to get into that. I'm kidding. This obviously isn't the best setup, but it's a nice one. I think you should take a look. Let's go do that. I'm going to get into pretty much everything I have over here. This is my student setup. It's taken a while to get it to where it's at right now, but this is very functional. I'm going to be explaining pretty much everything sitting over here. But before we get into that, a word from our sponsor. I'm just kidding. We don't have a sponsor. We're broke over here. Let's get to it. First off, filming this, we'll be using a Logitech Brio 4K webcam set to 4K at 30 Hertz. That's as high as it goes. Why am I sitting down? That's a bad idea. LG 4K HDR 27-inch monitor. This is my favorite. It is absolutely gorgeous. The colors are so vibrant on this thing. They're very deep, and when HDR is actually on, you can tell it's there. I'll just put it as HDR Vivid, HDR Standard, HDR Cinema, and HDR Vivid, Cinema, Standard. I don't know, something else. But they're all pretty cool. None of them really get too bright, but I guess that's the trick with HDR. I don't really know, but it does look phenomenal. So this monitor was $350. I got it at Best Buy. On the back, I'm not sure if you can see, our I/O, 2 HDMI 2.0 ports, 1 DisplayPort 1.2 port, a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, which is a plus in all the right ways, and the power cable, which is white. So as you can see, the back, even the back of this monitor is gorgeous. It's beautiful. It allows me to move around and stuff, since the monitors are big enough to go and lay down on my bed that's behind me and still be able to see what's on the screen. This is a Logitech wireless keyboard and trackpad. It was about $40. It is a lot of people's favorite, actually. The trackpad isn't a must, especially if you have a bunch of wireless mice and whatnot, but I find it to be very useful. Just having the option of having a trackpad there, it makes the whole experience that much better. You can grip it 2 hands, and you can use that yellow button as your clicker, so you can hold the entire thing like a giant cell phone, I guess. I don't know, but for $40, that's a win. Only gripe I have with it are the 2 AA batteries. It's 2019. I'm still not sure why we just haven't made everything rechargeable yet. I guess that was difficult for Logitech. Whatever. But I will say this: I've had the same batteries in it for about 3 months, and it's not lacking in any functionality or power as a result of being used for such a long time. The batteries don't seem to be dying, going anywhere. It's still going strong. To the left of it, you see the Microsoft Surface Arc mouse. Now, I've had some trouble with latency with this mouse. there's a fuller review on it on my channel, but they use a different type of tracking technology called blue light, and it's supposed to be more efficient and enable you to work on more surfaces, you know, with precision and whatnot. However, I find that it doesn't work on every surface. It could be just me, maybe I got a faulty mouse. But if you've gone through the same thing, let me know. That'd be cool. Whatever, we'll talk about it. So that was about $70. That's definitely not a mandatory part of this setup. That was just purely me being an idiot and being mad I never got a Surface Pro. And then we have the star of the show, XPS 15 2-in-1, 8 gigabytes of RAM in this model. It came with 128 gigabyte SK Hynix SSD, which I quickly swapped out for a Samsung 970 Evo Pro for 512 gigabytes. That ran about $300, I'm pretty sure. I didn't actually pay for that one. It was part of my Dell rewards. But it certainly made the entire experience on this laptop much more fluid, much faster. It really has made a drastic improvement. So if anybody does own the Dell XPS 2-in-1, I suggest swapping the SSD out for, a better one. So, as you may or may not know, there are two Thunderbolt 3 ports on the left-hand side of the XPS, the Dell XPS 2-in-1 15. I'm not sure if the 13 has it. I'm pretty sure it does. I'm making use of that by using a Sabrent Thunderbolt 3 to dual HDMI 2.0 port, which I was using single DisplayPort to USB-C wires and using the DisplayPort USB-C on the right side of this machine for quite a while. And I will say that from the time you plug it in till you actually get an image on screen is much slower than using this Thunderbolt 3 port, obviously, because the bandwidth is much higher. So that's the benefit of utilizing Thunderbolt 3 for display purposes on your Thunderbolt 3 enabled laptop if you have one. So I suggest Thunderbolt 3 all the way. I'm also using a SO2 USB 3.0 hub to go onto my 3.0. Actually, those are 3.1 Gen 2 ports on the right side of the XPS 15 2-in-1. But this is only a 3.0 hub, so you get about 5 gigs of bandwidth. This bad boy. Who's that guy? Who's that handsome gentleman? Now, this is the HP Pavilion 32-inch QHD monitor. It's non-HDR. It is not 4K. It's QHD, which makes it 1440p, which is a nice bump up from 1080p. I will say the 1440p looks much clearer, way more clarity than 1080p. Obviously, it's much more pixels, but it is a nice bump up. It's a much bigger screen, so I use it. Like I said, I'm a student, so if I'm working on, let's say, a Word document over here, and over here I'll have my couple of web pages open from whatever browser I'm using to, for my sources, whatever I'm researching. And it just, if you're a student, having the extra real estate to put different pieces of work on for a project or whatnot, or a paper, it's so much more convenient than having to minimize, read something, pull back up your Microsoft Word or, Google Sheets or whatever they're called. I don't use them, sorry. Part of the operation is touchscreen, because it is an XPS 15. So, what I usually do actually when I'm video editing or something like that is I'll throw the task manager over here and monitor my system performance and make sure I'm not heating up, because this is only a quad core, and albeit a powerful quad core, video editing is a very taxing operation, so you want to be mindful you don't cook your internals. So over here, real quick, the Tribit SoundGo Plus, $69.99 on Amazon. It's the bigger version. The astute of you may have noticed of this guy. It offers 4 hours less of battery life. However, it features this X-Boom technology, which is basically just a bass boost button. But I will tell you, if I thought that one was bass heavy for being about 7 inches long and 2.5 inches wide, this guy, not much bigger, but a little bigger, wow. Just wow. Just the most phenomenal Bluetooth speaker I've ever heard. And I've seen some. So that was it. That's my setup. That's what's going on over here. That's the setup. It helped me through a semester. This is my student setup. So if you saw anything that you'd like to know more about, holler at me. I'm here. Talk to me. I'm with you. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Y'all ready? Y'all ready?